You're dating unsettled. I'm not dating the way you would. I'm not dating the way my mama would. I refuse to settle. Dating is so unsettling. We have to laugh. And I'm dating unsettled, and I'm your host, Joy Ofodu.
Dating Unsettled.
Hey, welcome to the Dating Unsettled show, where we dare to date differently. Did y'all like that little intro where I was doing my intro, but instead of using the one that I had professionally produced, I was doing it verbally? Did you like that change? Or did it upset you? Today we're doing Unsettled requests. It's the middle of the holiday season. You are between Christmas, Navidad, Jewish holidays, Hanukkah, ? And the New Year's, Kwanzaa as well. We must acknowledge Kwanzaa. What are the Jane doing this holiday season? Y'all turn up too? But we're between Christmas and we're between New Year's. And I wanted to just give you some light because I know you're busy. You with your families, your kids, you're doing presents, you're going broke. And I thought I would just answer a question from one of you. So here we go, Unsettlers. This one says, hi, love your podcast. Would love to hear about your experience and tips for starting to date long distance. I love this request. So those of you who know, I am in a long distance relationship. This is what, I can't say that I was looking for a long distance relationship when I started dating Unsettled, but when I dreamed of this show, I wanted to talk about my early dating experiences. And you'll know if you listen to like the trailer, right, for this entire show, that I was looking and swiping. Ultimately, I wanted something that was near to me since I had previously been in a 7-year relationship, 6 years of which were long distance. I was not necessarily looking to do distance again. But thankfully, I found somebody who made distance worth it. So for me, in starting to date long distance, I think the first thing I had to do was open my dating app aperture. You know, you have the distance, like, oh, do you want to date people within 5 miles? That's very stalkerish. Don't do that. 10 miles, 25, 50, right? Or 100, which might mean you're making an hour plus long drive, depending on where you live. I said I would prefer to date men in the Bay Area. And I did. And that was cute till it wasn't. And I was like, maybe if I expand my aperture, right, of location, I might be exposed to some guys that I wouldn't otherwise. Doing so and actually swiping on vacation is what led to me meeting my now man. So he was moving out of the area that I was vacationing in. Isn't that insane? So now over a year later, he and I are in a relationship. If you saw the episode with the flowers, you know what I'm saying? I think it was episode 6. You know that he treats me very well, and it's entirely possible to build an intimate, healthy relationship long distance. So let's go into some tips for me for starting to date long distance. I'm really happy for you, Unsettler, because I'm gonna call this Unsettler V. V, I'm extremely happy for you because this means you're probably like in something. Like you want to be starting something. You got to be starting something. Cause you're too hard to get over, too low to get under. You're stuck in the middle. Sorry. Okay, let's go. Welcome. Let's talk about navigating long distance, some tips and strategies for maintaining a healthy relationship. I think obviously open and honest communication. Come on. The distance itself is challenging. Like sometimes I think distance can feel like the enemy. But if you misconstrue that, you start to see your partner almost like against you. So just make sure that like the issue y'all are trying to solve, my tip, make sure the issue you're trying to solve is how do we stay together and focus on what you can control and what's within y'all's control, whether you're distance for a job, work, studies, a gig, family, medical, whatever the reason, those things are largely outside of your control. So make sure that you focus, both of you, on what you can control and just communicate really often. It's important for me and my partner to have a set schedule every night at a certain time. I understand that my phone is going to ring, and even doing the like who's calling who, so you're not having phone tag. Like it is our policy that he will call me at this certain time every single night. If he's not able to, or I'm not able to have, that time protected, because we have to protect it, we let each other know a couple hours ahead if we can. We're really honest about why we can't make that time, or even just wanting time for ourselves. I think with the distance, you find yourself reaching across the aisle very frequently, right? To try to make sure that you are getting that person, you're getting that quality time. But when that happens, it feels exhausting and draining. Just the reach, the calls, the texts, the missed, it gets to be a lot. So if you need time for yourself too, I would absolutely advocate for that. And make sure that you shouldn't really need to ask your partner for time to yourself. That's scary. But you should be telling your partner, hey, I love you. I love spending time with you. I just need this protected time. So I would just openly like communicate about that. For us, having that call, and not every time FaceTime, because when we started our relationship, we were FaceTiming every single night. I think from like October to December, we're just FaceTiming. Eventually we found, it's exhausting to kind of like try to, see all this. Let's be on the phone. Other times being on the phone and not getting their rich facial expressions, because it's a very flat method of communication, that was making us exhausted. So whatever works for you and your partner, if it's more exhausting to be on FaceTime, get on the phone. Be like, hey, I want to hear you. Sometimes I just want you on and I want you in my space, but I don't want to see you, and vice versa. Texting also works great, and it doesn't have to be just that one time of day. So if you like little texts throughout the day, you like games, memes, having each other on social media is really important to us from a distance. He can see and support all of my antics, and I can send him things that I find funny and also find out more about his interests. So yeah, socials are cute or whatever. Okay, next thing would be to have a shared plan. And I think that setting goals, having a plan for your future, how you're going to handle this distance and eventually be together again is essential. If you are just shooting, you're reaching across the aisle, you're having these distance conversations, you're flying out and you don't know where it's going, I don't know about you, I would feel aimless. So it was important for us when we started dating to be like, where eventually could you see yourself living? And we continue to have that conversation because people change and evolve. So don't hold that person only to what they said when they started dating you, because that person's going to change. But when we started dating long distance, we said, what are some states you'd like to live in? Do you like the suburbs or the city? Do you like it busy? Do you like it quiet? Could you see yourself having kids? What are these neighborhoods, these schools? Like, we're almost doing family planning, but from a dating perspective, to see in the next 5, 10, even just 1 year, 6 months, right? Where ideally would we like to live? What would we be flexible on? What are your career aspirations? What are mine? And how does that affect where we might want to live or need to live, right? As a result of work or family. Knowing where each other's family is based. Are they homesick? These are all like really important things to think about. We don't own the people that we're dating, right? We cannot control another human being or where they decide to live. But hopefully, if it's important to you to live together, to live in the same city, then that. Some of these couples, some of y'all might be listening and be like, no, I'm cool living in a different state, different country, different city. That's that relationship I would ideally like to have. Great. Not me. Sorry for screaming. I need to be close. I want to be in his skin. Right. And so I didn't have the benefit of that in my last relationship as often. And when I started this relationship, in terms of making the plan, I was like, yeah, so let's see each other every 2 to 3 months. He laughed at me. He was like, that's not going to happen. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, I will see you every month. We will see each other every month. I'm like, oh, okay. So my partner was really assertive about wanting to be close, knowing that, primary love language being either physical touch or quality time. If that's your partner's love language, expect to travel much, much more. But definitely ultimately like make a plan for when you want to bridge that distance, how much money you would like to pay in the meantime or budget that you have set aside for any travel. When you travel, who's going to cover that travel? Are you doing buses, flights, cars, trains? Do y'all need to set up frequent flyer airline miles? Are there relatives who work at certain hotels? You know what I'm saying? Or airlines that can help you get distances? No more distance. People who work at certain places that can help you get discounts. Y'all see I'm real casual today. We just pummeling through it. All right. Next is like having your own set of like independence and your own set of hobbies outside the relationship. So I talked about this with my partner. I'm a very, very busybody, and I've been physically in the same place for a long time. My partner, though, had been moving, right? Changing friends, workplaces, et cetera, et cetera. So while I felt super rooted, grounded, involved, busy, he felt a bit more disrupted, right? A bit more searching, looking for that anchor. During this process, it's really easy for someone who's busy to assume that the non-busy person is like cool, and will like figure everything out. And though my partner has a huge sense of independence, he also just wanted to, how do you say, he was seeking that connection, right? So I'm here, like, I got all my connections done, and he's like, still looking for mine. So he expected a lot more from me, right? Or needed a lot more from me at the beginning. Now, right, that we're bridging the distance, and he spent more time in another location. He's like, I'm good. So I would just be cognizant of what your partner has going on around them, for them, accessible to them, that you guys make sure that you're balancing out each other's needs for connection. You know what I mean? If you're like, why is my partner, like, if you feel needy, I would even look around at your own activities and be like, can I get these needs filled elsewhere? It's important and awesome to have your needs filled, I think, in an intimate relationship, but it's also great to distribute that responsibility and that weight so that it doesn't fall entirely on your partner. Next, I would say is make the most of the time that y'all have together. Like, when you see each other, plan activities, plan outings, make sure to continue to date. When you're doing long distance, or even when you're just in a relationship for a long time, sometimes you feel like chilling or hanging or watching TV or falling into that mold is like all you need to do. But be cognizant, like, does your partner have a need or desire for romance, for to be courted, right? Continue to court each other, ask each other questions, bring things into the relationship, things, wink, wink, or cards. You know what I mean? You can play card games. I love the Skin Deep. This is not an ad, but the Skin Deep is, a card game that we use to, like, ask each other deep questions. And we brought it up when we started dating. I brought it back at Valentine's Day. We just continue to, like, ask each other important questions as our personalities and as our plans developed. So keeping that spark alive. I would also say, when you're traveling, recognize how much time you need and then make a template of that. You know what I mean? Because when I started traveling and dating my partner long distance, I thought, like, quick weekends, like 2 days, fly in on a Friday night, fly out on Sunday morning. I thought that would be enough, but it actually left me feeling more sad and more drained and rushed, because I felt like we were trying to cram all of our intimate time together into those, nights and days. And that doesn't account for drive time, lift time, airport pickup, dining, sleeping, right? So just build in the time that you need to feel good with your partner. And maybe if you are investing, take that extra day off, 2 days off, make it a week instead of a weekend if you find you need more time. Yeah, take advantage. We used things like, I'm trying to think of, like, products. We used Airbnb, Googled a lot of trip plans and tried to find just, like, special activities or just going out. My partner's a very adventurous, like, let's just walk around and figure it out type of person. So we would do that in every city. And it's cute to have, like, a thing in each city. I think when you're in a long distance relationship, like, you want to have things, you know what I mean? You want to have things that are special to you, that are, I don't want to say templated. I sound like such a marketer, but you want to have things that you can repeat, things that feel familiar, songs, playlists when you're driving in different cars in different cities that just tie you two together. He gifted me a stuffed animal the first time that he came to visit me in January. And, like, that stuffed animal stayed with me all year, almost like our son, right? It's like in the back of my car, it travels with me. And I just think, like, little things like that are so cute and help you to develop this sense of, like, longevity and growth and maintaining a constant in what feels so disruptive. Distance is disheartening. Be patient, be understanding. Schedules are tough. Be willing to sacrifice. Long distance takes sacrifice. This is when I say relationships take work, and it's not the, like, relationships should make you miserable take work, but relationships that are long distance are very effortful when healthy and when fulfilling, to make it not just possible, right? Not just we're having these calls and we're making these trips, but actually fulfilling for you. You're going to have to pour in to get that result. You will have to grind a little bit to get that result. And then I would say the final thing is, when you feel like things aren't working, voice them. And it doesn't have to be nihilistic. Like, it's like, things aren't working, so what can we do? Like, always make sure that you're working on that solution. Or maybe you're like, I just want to vent to you, baby, that it's not feeling great right now. I'm trying my best, but I miss you. Let's talk solutions later because I'm drained. Like, whatever you are personally feeling, let your partner know. And this is important because I think that what I recognized over this last year of long distance is that I have really been trying to hold myself up, hold myself together, work on my business, utilize and leverage the fact that I graduated a graduate program during the pandemic. I'm pitching, I'm doing my side hustle, I'm being a good daughter, I'm trying to take care of my personal hygiene and beauty. Like, I'm doing so many different things, investing in a home, doing so many things for me, for myself, carrying myself, lifting myself. But I don't want to do that all the time. Sometimes I want to be held. Sometimes I want to be supported. Sometimes I want to be egged on. Sometimes I want to be completely covered, completely protected, completely sponsored. And so to admit those kind of vulnerable things to my partner was difficult, but necessary. And I realized that over a year of holding myself up, there was an undercurrent and a subconscious little voice that's like, help, I don't like this. I don't like that I have to do this by myself. I want support. I want to walk with somebody hand in hand. I want them to be right there. That little voice was drowned out by my need to just survive. So I hope you don't feel the need to just survive. I hope that little voice rises up out of you when it needs to. I hope that it speaks to your partner. I hope it speaks to your friends. I hope that voice speaks to the people in your community, or even just admitting it with yourself. You're going to go such a long way in your distance relationship, potentially even be able to expand that distance if you are real with yourself about what you like. It's easy when the situation demands you to be one thing or be in one place. It's easy to try to convince yourself that you are totally okay with it because you're a survivor. That's what you do. But it's also okay and difficult to admit that you don't like it, to admit that it's hard, that it's ugly, that it's painful, that it's making your heart yearn. Your heart wants to jump out of your chest and go be with that person. It's harder to admit that. So I hope that you're honest with yourself on this journey. In conclusion, you know what I'm saying? This requires effort. This requires communication and patience. And I hope that this works for you. I hope that you and your partner come out stronger on the other side. We did almost a whole episode, but not full. You know what I'm saying? We did a little 17 minutes for you. So Unsettlers, please, if you're in a long distance relationship too, I'm going to make a post about being distant, about some of these tips. And if you have any, comment them. Let's crowdsource this experience. I've done it for 6 years and now I've done it for 1 year, and the situations are different. My physical needs, my mental needs, my emotional needs in 2 different relationships, just wild, right? Right. Yeah, they're wild. They will differ. And if God forbid I had to be in another relationship, those needs would probably differ based on this relationship. We're human beings. We grow, we evolve. We like to cuddle. We like to spoon. Thanks for listening, Unsettlers. Follow Dating Unsettled for weekly episodes wherever podcasts are found so you don't miss an episode of your new favorite show. If you can't get enough of me, subscribe to my newsletter at datingunsettled.com. DM me your dating stories on Instagram at datingunsettled. I just want to say one of y'all sent me a bunch of voice notes, so I cannot wait to get into this. And they a Cancer, so I'm about to listen. This is great. DM me your dating stories. I legitimately read every single one or listen to every single one. And I want to know how it's going for you. See you next week. Dating Unsettled.